What's up guys, CJ here, and welcome back to another all-new Hybrid Network News Flash. Amazon Prime's Lord of the Rings series has got to be one of the most interesting projects to follow in Hollywood today, especially since it was announced. A little refresher because it's been so long since we got anything about this series. Back when it was first announced, it was very quickly revealed that Amazon had very specifically gained the rights to the Lord of the Rings trilogy. That's right, just those 3 books, leading some to wonder if it was going to be a re-adaptation of the books, basically rebooting the film series. Very quickly, that was revealed to not be the case, and that led many to point to the appendices of Return of the King, basically where Tolkien sketched out all this history and background of the world of Middle-earth, suggesting that the new series was going to be a prequel of some sort set before the events of the film trilogy. In line with that, we've gotten our first official teaser for the series from Amazon from the official Twitter account for the series itself, at LOTR on Prime, The Lord of the Rings on Prime, and it's a head-scratcher to say the least, leaving us with way more questions than answers. In the account's first post on Wednesday, they tweeted out a Tolkien quote. I wisely started with a map, which kind of coincided with the release of the Tolkien biopic trailer, leading some to believe that it was just connected to that. The account was quiet on Valentine's Day, but returned today, Friday the 15th, this morning, to publish a map. That's right, the map referred to in that first tweet with the quote, 3 rings for the Elven Kings under the sky. Now there's a ton to break down just from that, believe it or not, but let's start with the map first. And it is a doozy to say the least, not least of which because it is unmarked. That's right, no names for the seas, the forests, the mountain ranges, the regions, or the kingdoms, but they're all pretty recognizable because we've been looking at maps of Middle-earth for more than half a century now. And that's just what this is, a map of Middle-earth from the Second Age or later, from Eriadur in the west to Rhûn in the east, and interestingly enough, farther east beyond that still. And that's actually the most interesting part of the map to me, not just because we can kind of narrow down where the series might be set based on what the map shows us, which we'll talk about in just a second, but the fact that it extends beyond Mordor and Rhûn into basically uncharted territory in the farther east regions, where even Gandalf hadn't traveled, but we know that Aragorn traveled at least a little bit, according to the Encyclopedia of Arda. And knowing that this map includes these regions that we know Aragorn traveled in kind of dovetails nicely with some earlier reports from Deadline, I believe, that the series was going to follow a young Aragorn, which until now had been uncorroborated. As for how we can narrow down where the series is going to take place, let's first give a shout out to the user Tolkien Thought on Twitter. Incredible name, but also some incredible insights on what the map can show us. Specifically, they pointed out that this must take place after the First Age and the War of Wrath because Beleriand is not on the map, all but confirming that the show will take place in the Second or Third Age. But going back really quickly to the caption for the official tweet of the map that we mentioned at the beginning of the video, 3 rings for the Elven Kings under the sky. That is a really interesting reference to something we've all heard before if we've watched the Lord of the Rings films or read the books. Specifically, that is a portion of the Ring verse, basically the verse written about the Rings of Power by the Free Peoples, which reads in full, 3 rings for the Elven Kings under the sky, 7 for the Dwarf Lords in their halls of stone, 9 for mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the Dark Lord on his throne in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie, 1 ring to rule them all, 1 ring to find them, 1 ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie. And the fact that this is just one small part of a much larger verse, and the fact that the caption actually ends with a comma would seem to suggest that we're going to be getting more updates in the future, potentially the very near future, if this was in conjunction and connection with their first tweet about starting with the map. For example, in 2 more days, we could see a updated version of the map with the second part of the Ring verse and so on and so forth. It'll be really interesting to watch. I think obviously there's always a chance that the series just focuses on the forging of the Rings of Power and Celebrimbor, who of course we've seen in the Shadow of Mordor and War for Mordor games. But there's a really good chance that I think they go away from that and they're just using this as sort of a catchy, like, you know this, you know the Ringverse, you've heard this before, as a sort of a clever strategy for unveiling the first official pieces of information about the series. Let us know in the comment section down below what you make of this first official look at the Lord of the Rings series on Amazon Prime. Obviously, way more questions than answers right now, but if you had to make a guess, what are you thinking it's going to be about? Personally, I would place a pretty decent bet on the fact that it is going to follow young Aragorn. Who knows, we could get into more of the history of the Dundain and their settling of Middle-earth after the fall of Numenor, and Aragorn's place in that very important lineage, and his sort of destiny to eventually become the king of Gondor. That's going to do it for me here, though. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash that like if you like what you saw, subscribe for more great content every single day, and consider turning on your notifications to be alerted every time we upload a new video. Signing off, this is CJ, and I'll see you next time.